Facebook Live show with your Coral Gables Chamber of Commerce. I'm Mark Trowbridge, and my compatriot, my partner in crime, our favorite local paper boy, Mr. Grant Miller.
Absolutely. And, hey, this is a great song. Let's hear him roar.
That's right. Helen Reddy, I Am Woman, Hear Me Roar in honor of Women's History Month.
Wow. That is exciting.
That is a tiger du jour.
Okay.
So happy Tuesday, Grant.
Well, today is what?
Tuesday, March the 9th.
And what else?
It's National Meatball Day.
And look what I got you.
Oh, my God. Are you kidding?
And look who's it from?
To
Mark from...
Mark with love from Giuseppe. Joe is the best. You know, one of the things that I miss the most in Coral Gables is Anna Capri.
I know you want to roll.
Anna Capri, what a great member, what a great partner. Thank you. I haven't had lunch today.
Me neither.
And most importantly, what a great energy there. And we miss them. We love the fact that he's still down in Pinecrest, Palmetto Bay area, but it's not the same not having our beautiful Giuseppe in Coral Gables. So check out Anna Capri. All right, my hands are really dirty, so I'm going to be like...
There's napkins right there, sir. By the way, now you wonder why I raced in.
I wonder what you were up to. I was a little nervous because, you know, you are a man possessed when you're behind the wheel. So forgive us if we're going to have a little to munch on. But
so I just want you to know that a couple years ago...
We should eat in every show. We should do a show live from Dave's place. And we could have your big wiener and my Trotots at Arbiter's.
I told you I didn't have lunch. I did have breakfast.
Oh.
And Tommy, what I have for breakfast?
Did you have a hot dog?
Chili dog from Arbiter's.
That's a breakfast of champions from Arbiter's.
So, why is it National Meatball Day? Why?
I don't know. You know, as Tommy likes to point out when I put these things on the rundown, there's a day for everything. It's also, Morgan, I think I sent you something. It's also like you don't give a flying F day or something like that, or whatever day, in addition to being National Meatball Day. But I was reminded that one of my favorite Bill Murray movies, thank you, Tommy, was Meatballs. And you remember they were at a camp. Meatballs 2 I actually liked too. It wasn't quite as good or original, but they were at basically a summer camp, and you know, these kids were being tortured by Bill Murray as the quintessential counselor, and you know, some of his favorite folks hanging around, if you will.
Oh.
So talk to me while I take a big bite here.
Your reconnect last week was outstanding, but I call it Wine Down Wednesday, but it's not wine, it's wined down Wednesday was outstanding at the 7-7.
I agree. First of all, Fernando's a great host. Second of all, we were outdoors on Giraldo Plaza. Gorgeous night.
It can't get any better than that.
Cannot get any better than that. And Illuminate came at dusk.
Now, you rode bicycles today. How are the meatballs?
With my friend Alan Newman. Happy belated birthday, Alan. He turned.
I want you guys to go out there and protect your balls at any cost.
What did he say? Oh, yeah. He turned 30-something yesterday, so a big shout-out to my friend Alan.
We're shouting out for our meatballs.
Who works at the Perez Art Museum, the PAM. And so we rode around. He did most of the heavy lifting. I'm always in the back going, am I too heavy? Is it okay? Am I too heavy? And then the sweat, you know, you can see it's kind of rolling down. And I'm like, oh, I'm good.
Nope.
I was in charge of his dog, Rosario. She was riding shotgun with me, and she's a Havanese.
Okay, let's get back to the 7-7 sports bar. Beautiful TVs in there, a pool table.
Yeah. I mean, it's truly the only real sports bar, sports restaurant that we have in Coral Gables. I mean, Sports Grill might say, hey, we're on the very edge of the Gables, and you should count us. Okay.
Are they members?
They are not, but Sport Bar 77 is. Right at the corner of Ponce de Leon and Giraldo Plaza. See Fernando. They have amazing outdoor seating. The food was really great, too. I mean, folks were really enjoying that.
Okay. And
I got to meet Rory from our friends at Synovus. They're a new corporate member of ours.
His last name?
Rory Champagne, and he's invited me over to check out the bank, and I'm looking forward to that. Great fellowship with folks we hadn't seen. I ran into Nina from Congresswoman Salazar's office, which was great. I told her we had just seen some of her colleagues at our show the day before, and you know, they're looking for some additional support for some legislation that she is proffering, especially around the issue of PPP, extending that PPP beyond March 31st of this month. There's a lot of money that has still not been loaned or claimed here in this kind of second round. And so we want to make sure that businesses are looking at their rent, they're looking at their payroll. I think some of them are nervous because they maybe haven't gotten their notification of forgiveness. And so taking on an additional potential loan maybe makes them a little bit nervous. But folks, you got to apply for it. The terms are really favorable. And, we need to make sure our workforce is back and working. And so the business is using it for employees and for payroll.
But it's very hard to get
forgiven.
the restaurant workforce back.
It is.
Because you're getting unemployment money still.
Yep. And for a while, they were getting unemployment and PUA, pandemic unemployment. And so at some point, some of those folks were getting over $800 a week, which was maybe a disincentive to go back to work. And in some cases, they weren't really looking. Maybe there weren't places that were open. Maybe they weren't comfortable being in a small kitchen at the time, doing mostly prep work for takeout and delivery. But now, we've been seeing, I think, a pretty good response to the outdoor dining. The Wall Street Journal wrote an article over the weekend that said Florida got it right. They actually praised our governor.
Who did that?
Wall Street Journal.
Wow.
Because they're looking at New York, they're looking at Illinois, they're looking at New Jersey, they're looking at California, who did some pretty severe austerity measures and shutdown, and they're still having significant issues related to COVID and the pandemic. And so, whether you are a fan of Governor DeSantis or not, he has stood with business. He has followed the advice of a lot of advisors. I think some people would like him to follow science more, but in the end, our economy is beginning to recover. And Florida is going to be steps ahead of some of these other states I just mentioned, which is helpful to us in terms of long-term recruitment. We haven't stopped looking at companies that may want to relocate out of New York or California. We're working with a company right now that's coming actually out of Nebraska that is looking at South Florida.
Coral Gables?
Looking at Coral Gables. So it's not officially
if they come here.
announced yet, but hopefully within the next week we'll be able to talk about it here on this show.
So we had Trow-Nose. What's up? When is it?
We had Trow-Nose last week. We had a really busy week. March has really been, very, very active in just the first, 9 days. We had 4 new members join last week. We had 4 different events. We had our Reconnect luncheon featuring Phil Stevenson. We had our Wind Down Wednesday at 77 Sport Bar, which we talked about. And then we had Trow-Nose CEOs with Michelle Shirley, the CEO of Be Strong International. And let me tell you something. I can be a little bit jaded because we've done these programs for more than 10 years, which means we've done more than 100 Trow-Nose at this point. But what I will tell you is to spend the morning with someone who is inspired, but also inspiring. Gosh, there's no better way to start a Friday, start a weekend, start a month. And I want to thank Michelle for that. She talked a lot about her ups and downs. She opened the program sharing a little bit about a personal tragedy that had taken place during COVID for her. And so she had struggled to really connect with friends and to grieve. We all grieve differently, but we all understand the importance of a network of friends and colleagues to help us get through. So she was very, very compelling.
South Florida Business Journal just recognized them, correct?
They've won a number of awards. Matter of fact, the Children's Trust that I serve on the executive board of just named them the Provider of the Year. And what an honor to cast a vote for not only a great member of ours, but a great partner in the community. And, everybody's had to pivot over the last year because a lot of programs weren't happening in person. They're working with teens who are at risk. You need to see those young people. You need to be in their space and giving them support. Hard to do when a lot of young people, especially in difficult neighborhoods, may not have access to stable internet, Wi-Fi, or connectivity. So we're seeing that issue not only in nonprofits, but we're seeing it in our schools as well.
Well, speak about internet. You drive on the highway and the internet.
Yeah.
How about when you're
Did you eat that whole thing already?
I ate 3 of them. Left 2 for Tommy. So while you're eating, go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
We got before we I showed up at the Wind, whatever way.
WIND. like wind it up like a clock.
Okay, I just put wine. We did a quick little video on your cards. The $50
Sushi Maki.
Sushi Maki. How'd that go?
Started running today.
What started running? The promotion?
The promo that we did.
That was a funny video we did.
We did. I wonder if Morgan can share that too. I know she shared something there.
She can share anything she wants. Okay. You got the candidates?
She shared the Ron DeSantis article. So check that out. Again, no matter whether you're a fan of the governor or the leadership of our state or how you feel that things have been handled in the pandemic, other people are noticing.
The other states.
Other states are noticing. Other companies are noticing. And when the Wall Street Journal writes a favorable article about anything in Florida, you have to really take notice of that.
That's a good recruiting tool.
It's great. Matter of fact, the article was sent to me by the Florida Chamber, Mark Wilson, after we had our call on Monday morning. And I shared it with our Economic Development Department. I shared it with our elected leadership. And I said, these are the types of stories that tell the story, not only of Coral Gables, but of what we can provide. And listen, I still want people to wear their masks. I still want people to make good decisions. But, you know, by opening our restaurants, I don't think we've seen a spike in, you know, cases related specifically because you sat outside at a restaurant.
Speak about politicians. You have a candidates forum?
We do.
What do you call it? A debate?
Candidates forum. So it's really more of a
when is it?
Conversation. So we've been doing this for probably the last 20 years. I've been involved for the last 14 or so. And I'm really proud of our chamber because this is a civic duty that we're doing. Most organizations don't have the capacity to put together a program like this.
And it's dangerous. If it's not done properly,
always. And listen, we get criticized whether we get it right 100% of the time, or if we don't, you get criticized because somebody walks away feeling like maybe they didn't have a good night, so they take a shot. And it's happened every single cycle that we've done it. But we are undeterred. We're the only one planned right now that will have all the candidates confirmed and in person. I heard there's another one happening a week or so after ours, but it's fully virtual and it's been called, quote, family friendly. I'm not sure what that means.
Yours or the other one?
The other one. We do ask all of our candidates to sign a pledge of positivity, but all are confirmed to be with us and will be in person. Only about 50 or so folks. I know you're coming.
Absolutely. This Thursday.
Very glad we're going to have you there Thursday night. Doors will open for the invited audience, which includes guests of the candidates, officials, city officials, chamber leadership, and some of our partner organizations like Gables Good Government Committee, the League of Women Voters, and others like that. We're also partnered and sponsored with the Coral Gables Democratic Club, Stearns Weaver Miller, Sora Risk Advisors, Global Insurance, Efren Sora,
when you say
and a couple of sponsors who were anonymous. Those are financial versus partners.
Right. Okay. And this is
partners like Gables Good Government, League of Women Voters. They're helping promote the event. Our biggest goal is to get a lot of great questions out of it. We've already had 14 or so different questions or topics submitted. We've passed those along to the moderator. I'm sure there would be more. But if you're listening right now, participate. You can actually watch it live on UM's Zoom account. You can also watch it live on our Facebook Live, which will be patched in through the Zoom. Obviously, there's a limited audience of about 60 people in person.
It's Thursday at 6.
Thursday at 6. And then it'll be taped by the city and be available for viewing the next day on their YouTube channel.
That's very nice of the city, because not every city does that.
No, and part of it is, I think, our great relationship with, the city manager and his leadership team, working with Martha Pantine, Miguel Rocha, the whole team. They're going to have 2 different cameras. It's not easy to do. This is not what I would call like in the normal course of, chamber business, but we see it as a civic duty.
It's very expensive.
We have the capacity, very expensive. And so our partners and sponsors have helped pick up that tab. Anytime you record something, anytime you have to prepare a room that will host
how many
people.
Cameras? One big camera.
2 cameras plus a Zoom camera.
Plus somebody to handle it.
Yeah, all of that requires additional personnel. The Zoom camera is on a mount, but someone will be operating that. And so we've got, a lot of fingers crossed that technology is there for us, that people, tune in, zoom in. I think if we have 3 goals, they are this. We want to make sure people are informed and educated about each of the candidates' positions. So that's the forum part. We want people to see these folks interacting with one another, which doesn't happen on a Zoom call. When I'm sitting next to you, there's a different level of accountability. There's a different level of engagement.
Absolutely.
If we're on separate cameras where I can't see you. So I also think people will comport themselves more appropriately and more professionally. And the third piece is, obviously in Coral Gables, the business community is a significant contributor. So we like to see candidates who understand what the issues are of the business community. They're not going to get an endorsement from us, from our chamber. We don't do that. But I think what they'll get is an honest conversation from business folks who say, these are my needs. Please pay attention to that. Maybe I don't live in Coral Gables, but I pay taxes through my business in Coral Gables. And 30+% of the tax base comes from businesses.
Is that the 30%? Does that include property tax?
That is property taxes that flow back through and into the city,
right?
Parking meters, impact fees, you name it. That number is well over 30%.
Okay, so 30%. And where's the other 60?
It's coming from taxpayers who live in the city, special fees, things like that. But when you think about Coral Gables with 51,000 residents, and the businesses occupy less than 5% of the land mass of the city, we are punching way above our weight. So a good business climate is essential. An educated electorate who brings people to the dais, who appreciate the business community, who work alongside with us. We don't agree every day. I appreciate, for the last 8 years with Vice Mayor Lago and Commissioner Kian, but we haven't always agreed on everything.
It's interesting because part of the reason Coral Gables people love living there is because they have great restaurants, great businesses.
Sure.
And
that's one cross section.
Right. It's people enjoy that. If it wasn't there, it'd be completely different. George Gonzalez ate at some restaurant that you ate at before. What is that? So
Mame is located in the Thesis Hotel, which is the project right across from called Paseo.
Are they members?
De la Riviera. They're trustee members.
Which one? The hotel or the restaurant?
The restaurant is through the hotel because it's in the hotel. But the developer is also a trustee, Brent Reynolds from NRI. So really great to have that level of engagement. Listen, Nitin is amazing. He founded Gee Kitchen down in downtown Dadeland and the Grove, and people are familiar with his
Wynwood, right?
Cuisine. And now he has Mame. He'll have another concept, I think, coming a little bit closer to the
Is the parking good there?
Parking's very easy. Plus, they have valet. It's a hotel, full service. Go check it out. By the way, we love the Thesis. Got a chance to do our annual conference from there. Gorgeous property. Thanks, Brent, for bringing a wonderful project. Next to it, through this beautiful Paseo, they have rental units as well. Remember what was there? The old Holiday Inn. I love that Holiday Inn. Great Holiday Inn, but it was time for an upgrade. A little really upgrade. Great.
Okay, new members this
yeah, we had
week?
4 new members who joined us over the last week, and I'll have Morgan put in the chat who those folks are. And we're still working on getting our first trustee for the month. Got a few things in the pipeline. Well, it's a good long month of March, but just had a conversation with the team about that what's in the pipeline and what are we working on. So I've got 2 or 3 that I'm specifically working on, but we want to land 4 or 5 this month.
Some big issues coming up today. Miracle Mile vote
tomorrow. Yes, today at 5. You're right.
I hope so. I'm right.
So it looks like we've got 4 votes. There was some compromise in the last workshop to allow for some remote parking and some bonuses if you give back a certain amount of height, but the density would still be allowed. So instead of being at the 6 floors, you'd have to be at 4. You'd have to do a step back on that 4th floor, which could create rooftop dining. But I think it's a good compromise. I think it'll be 4-1 on first reading today. Is
there a rooftop dining, a new restaurant opening like off of Geralda, some over there?
Yeah, so there was supposed to be a rooftop restaurant right above, where you have Koyo Taco. And that ended up not happening, unfortunately.
They built it already.
It was built out, and so we're hopeful that something else is going to step in there. Not quite ready to announce that.
Oh, so it didn't move forward.
That one did not. No, another one has come into the discussion.
When that happens, that area is just going to be rocking and
roll. I can't tell you more. I mean, the chamber. When we were looking for our new home, we were looking in that building. There was a 2nd floor space for an office that was really lovely. But, it just didn't quite work out. It didn't have any parking and things like that. But the whole time I was visiting, and I went a number of times, all I could think about is, can you imagine looking over Giralda Plaza each and every day. Our conference room would have been built in that area.
Wow.
And so the opportunity to do that.
All right.
So here are the new members. Our new members are Verdeja de Armas, Trujillo LLC, Porpoise Evans, PA, Scent Hound, Coral Gables, and Pure Water Factory.
Wow.
So Pure Water Factory, we met them during Illuminate, and then they came over and joined. Porpoise Evans changed firms, and now he is of counsel with one of our larger law firms. And we'll get to know our friends at Scent Hound and at Verdeja.
Now, there's some big issue coming up. It's not being voted on, but it's moving forward. Wawa. Have they joined the trustees yet?
They have not come in. I'm working with them on a letter of support. We've been kind of going back and forth today about, some of the, things I want to make sure that we're focused on in that letter. So thank you, Deborah, for that. But we're really excited. Matter of fact, I went to a Wawa over in St. Pete. I've never been to one before. I've driven by them. What an incredible space. I mean, it's very large inside, very bright, very cool, different types of dining options. I got a very large 32-ounce unsweet iced tea. It was divine, like fresh brewed. And people are just excited.
It's on the edge of Coconut Grove, even though it's Coral Gables. People think that's Coconut Grove.
The Lola B. Walker neighborhood, which is the name for that neighborhood, which has probably residents who are descended from some of the earliest residents of Coral Gables in this Bahamian
and the city of Miami
enclave and community that butted up against the Grove. A lot of those folks worked early on in the city. I was reading an article last night about Mrs. Cooper, who I've met many times, and she still lives in the house she was born in.
Well, it's interesting.
So talk about an investment in your community. They're very excited about the Wawa. They have gone on the record that they have worked out a great relationship, because that property was ultimately conveyed to them through the county many years ago to the Homeowners Association. And they've had some challenges getting a development going. They've brought in some people now who really have an expertise, Deborah and her team from Redevco. And listen, they came up with an opportunity with Wawa. So there will be dollars flowing back into the association. More importantly, there will be jobs not only related to construction, but permanent jobs related to Wawa. They've made a commitment, Wawa has, who's a great corporate citizen. They work with all types of partners. Matter of fact, they were kind of educating me today what they've done with other school systems.
I just did a little piece on some trees there a couple of days ago.
Did you? How did that go over?
Save the trees. There are a couple of trees.
I think there are 3.
Yeah.
And I believe there is a hearing coming forward. Some of the parents and neighbors in the association have put together a group that have sought injunctive relief on a couple of fronts.
Oh, yeah. So speak about Coconut Grove.
Could those trees be relocated, or you think they need to be?
Right now, they're not supposed to be relocated. They're going to kill them. But we'll see. They should relocate them. But there's
a compromise in there,
absolutely.
Right? What kind of trees are they? Educate
I don't know. Some big trees. But I'm going to give
you. If you're going to write about them and say save the trees.
But speak about Coconut Grove. We have from Coconut Grove, Gerald Tinker, a gold medal winner. I'm just naming some football players. Okay. He was a track. He played at Gables, but he was a United States Olympic. We had
track and field.
Okay. Then we have Maurice Jones, New York Jets.
Great.
He played at Northwestern, and we have people from Gables. There's so many athletes from Coconut Grove. You want me to just keep rattling away?
I mean, do what you got to do. I'm concerned about that you don't know what kind of trees you've been writing about.
It was oak trees, but that's okay.
I'm sure there is a path for it. I'm the eternal optimist when it comes to collaboration, whether it's working with fellow chambers, community groups, even putting on, a forum in a couple of days. I think we have always punched above our weight as well, much like Coral Gables, and being, the type of convening organization, collaborative organization, and conversation starter. So if that is what happens with Wawa, then I think it's important.
Well,
but the chamber is always going to support business. And when you tell me that the neighbors who live there, and many who have lived there since they were born, support this project, I think it's hard to deny their passion and their interest.
Well, it's interesting. That corner is very historical. One of the oldest churches in Florida is right behind, about a block and a half away from Wawa.
Right.
So it's all good. Listen, Coconut Grove is strong. It will survive.
It will. And I think what people learn is twofold. Conversation is good. passion is great. But things are always different when you get sort of into the built environment. I think it's usually for the good. There are some who might say, hey, that project is a lot bigger than we thought it was going to be, or there was a little bit more traffic. But think about the opposition to the Streetscape project. Think about the opposition to Merrick Park. And now look at some of these assets. I think people really see, the great contributions that they make. But, I think the reason we have public comment and public hearings is to allow people to share their thoughts. And certainly the chamber is going to do that as much as others do that. So
regarding the transparency on the Wawa property, there was enough meetings about it. Everybody knew it. City elected officials.
Yeah, I'm not 100% familiar, but after reading the article that I read last night, it's clear to me that this was a long ago, maybe even going back into before, the early 2000s. But the
not
county,
with Wawa, with just developing that property.
Correct. Yeah, the Wawa is much newer.
Correct.
Because they looked at a restaurant, they looked at some other things, and even our city attorney had to opine that the property had been properly conveyed and they still had some additional time to get things done. And so, it's why our commission isn't really speaking about it or weighing in on it a lot, because you know what? It's kind of settled. It's kind of done. I mean, those large tanks are now in the ground.
They're in there, baby.
So the trees, that's a good question. The first I heard of the trees was probably one commission meeting ago. So the point has kind of shifted to what are we going to do about the trees. And I heard the vice mayor say at a dedication last week that, maybe there's a compromise there to, relocate those
that's all
trees.
That's all they need to do. Okay, March, looking ahead, we got Impact. We have the Good Morning
so we have
Gables.
A busy week toward the end of this week, which I've already talked about, with the candidates forum on Thursday at 6, and our Chamber 101, Chamber Engagement 101 on Friday. And then next week's a really busy week. Our Impact Seminar will be on Wednesday. We have a women's lunch on Tuesday, and on Thursday
virtual.
We have our breakfast. All of them remain virtual. Our board has begun to talk about maybe going to the next level of in-person events. We're doing 1 or 2 a month now. But is there an opportunity to ramp that up? What will it be? If our goal is to be under 5% in infections, we're being more diligent with that. If our goal is to, require people to still wear masks and social distance and have their temperature taken, well, that's going to limit.
You bring your card? I got my shot.
Right, show your card. That's going to limit some of our available venues. And then if you want to keep it outside, that's even more limiting. And the limitation, Grant, is really about the AV. I don't want to create in-person events that then cut off those folks who aren't comfortable yet.
Well,
because the cost to put on an event outside with AV is prohibitive to a small chamber like us.
Well, the way I look at it, we're in March. By May.
That's what the president told us. By May, anybody who wants a vaccine will have one.
Oh, by then, Miami
will have enough surplus to even cover folks who are not in those early groups of essential 65 and up, 55 and up. Look at Jackson now. They're doing 16 and up, and it's an honor system. We'll see how that goes. I mean, the amount of vaccine being created now between Pfizer, Moderna, the cooperation between Merck and Johnson & Johnson. We're waiting on AstraZeneca. I think we're going to have a significant amount of available vaccine. And, what we need is arms. And then you need 3 to 4 weeks in between to get really that booster shot.
Well, the Johnson & Johnson, you only need one.
You only need one. But we're also hearing from some of them that they're looking at, is there a third shot needed? Or do we need a yearly booster?
I believe it.
Like a flu shot.
It'll be a booster. Okay, so we have how many more days?
That you're like, like a laboratory scientist.
No problem.
You have your ear to the ground.
Boom. All right, we only have 4 more days for what?
4 more days?
For the show.
Oh, for Illuminate. Yeah, Illuminate ends on Saturday. Please make note at 10 p.m. because Sunday begins daylight savings, and so it'll be lighter later. And that isn't the great recipe for success. So you can go on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, or Saturday. Saturday and Friday are from sundown until 10 p.m. Wednesday, Thursday, sundown till 9 p.m. I'm sure Nicholas is still looking for volunteers. I've been out there on 4 different evenings, and either riding the pedicab, leading a tour, working the tent, you name it.
Did we skip over the real estate event you
We'll
had?
come back to that. Don't worry.
Okay, I appreciate that. Has traffic been busier?
You're so easygoing. Are you feeling all right?
Yeah, life's good. Life's good. Well, you know,
Life is good, man. You brought me meatballs
and
extraordinaire.
and Joe said he made those especially for you.
Giuseppe, we love you. We miss you. We need you. Let's go on a tour and find you a new spot back in Coral Gables.
Okay. All right, the real estate update. What about that?
Yeah, so we're working with our friend Ron Sheffield from Berkshire Hathaway. We're working with Jane Wooldridge from the Miami Herald, and we're doing a residential real estate update. I think everybody knows over the last year, real estate is hot. Residential real estate is on fire. So we're calling the program House on Fire. And we're going to do a market update with Ron Sheffield, with folks from Amarant Bank, our friends from MG Developer, a new project in Coral Gables, and from the Association of Realtors. So that is on the 25th at 10 a.m. Please join us. I think everybody knows that the better that the real estate market does, and that isn't just sales, that's available inventory, the better we have for a much quicker recovery. The commercial real estate's going to lag. People are still concerned about being back in the office.
Well, the leases aren't up and all that.
And a lot of folks are making decisions towards the future in terms of being in offices. So we're bullish on it. You know, somebody says to me, "Are you back in the office?" I'm like, "We never left. I never left. I probably have worked from home just because of, you know, COVID protocols or quarantine or moving the office, maybe 10 days.
Tommy, when did you start here?
See, like April, right?
Yeah, we haven't missed a day, have we, Tommy?
Nope.
6 days a week. We're here.
On the road.
On the road.
The people.
Listen, that makes the day go faster. I mean, our staff is still on rotation, but they're coming 2.5 days a week. I think until everybody is vaccinated, you want to still be very, very cautious. You know, I ask people in our office to stay social distanced, even in our bullpen area, to wear their masks, to social distance. And, you know, they have, like everybody does, they have little, you know, forgetfulness moments. You know, the funny story is I was walking into the Wawa in St. Pete on Sunday, and I forgot my mask because so many people in St. Pete don't wear their masks. And, you know, I had it literally in my pants pocket. But I'm in there, and my friend goes, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "What do you mean?" She goes, "Where's your mask?" I'm like, "Oh, my God." I walked in the door, and the nice man held the door for me, no mask on. I'm like, good grief.
Well,
even after a year of this, you know, tomorrow is 1 year since we did our last big event. Tomorrow.
March 10th. We did one a year ago.
We did it at Mosme at Doctor's Hospital. We probably had 100+ people. I stood at the door and said, "Hand, please," and put hand sanitizer. No one wore a mask. And somehow, with great gratitude to the powers that be, we emerged from that event with nobody getting COVID or nobody getting sick. Knowingly. We don't know that.
And you hosted our breakfast with Jim DeFeeti.
That same day?
March 10th.
That same day.
And nobody.
That morning, huh?
That morning.
It was a Tuesday morning.
Yes, sir.
I miss those, Grant, for 2 reasons. One, you really get a dynamic cross-section of business folks who are in the southern part of the business community of the county. And then secondly, you always get a great speaker. And I was, you know, sort of moderating that with him.
Oh, you took.
And I was a little nervous because one time somebody thought I was Jim DeFeeti in the store and was very upset with me because, you know, he can be a little polarizing. But, you know, when you're a big guy and maybe someone else is a big guy, you always fancy yourself the smaller of the big guy.
People used to call me Mark.
Oh, my God. I can't believe that.
All right. So
anyway, he was a great get. So let me ask you, when do you think you'll be ready to do that? It's Casa Cuba right here in South Miami.
Yeah, our first one will be in Casa Cuba for breakfast because we could probably hold with social distancing about 60 or 70 people.
I agree. It's a big space. And if you let people be out on the patio and kind of listen in.
We're waiting for Coral Gables Chamber. No, it really.
Who would be your first ask?
Other than you?
No. You're always nice enough, and I'm always invited. You know, I have to get up that morning the same time I get up for like Good Morning Coral Gables.
Yeah, we're going to do it. Our first one's going to be in April.
Okay.
And by that time, most people have shots. This is how I look at it.
Think so?
If people haven't had their shots, they already had the virus. Because
almost. So you think April 13th?
Why April 13th?
Oh no, that's a Tuesday.
Oh, I don't know. But according to the records, an average of 1,300 people have got the virus every day in Miami, in Dade County. That's almost 500,000 people have already got the virus.
True.
And 20% have already got shots. So by that time, it's going to be huge. So, but we're looking at April. We're
Well, please
waiting.
invite me. I'm a lot more comfortable going out and a lot more confident. I always wear my mask. I'm always careful about, sort of who I am around.
That's the biggest issue. By the way, are we going to have to walk around with the card? Here.
Your card-carrying member?
Yeah, right. I got my 2 shots. All right.
Well, no, other countries require people to carry a lot of documentation. So, maybe we could follow suit with your COVID card. I think a lot of people will have it as a point of pride early on.
Oh, yes.
That type of thing. So.
All right. So what's next for Coral Gables Chamber? I'll close out. Before you close out, we're looking for 2 new members, and this week we're looking for 2 trustees. We have some in mind. Justin, I just had breakfast with you on Saturday.
So Justin and I were supposed to get together in January, but he had a new baby, El Car Wash, correct?
Yes. He
had a new baby. Congratulations, Justin. And then they were up in New York for a little bit before making their way back. And so I'm looking forward to connecting with him. He's definitely on our prospect list. So hopefully we can get together in the next week or so at Cafe Demetrio. So Justin, if you're listening,
there's his baby
we're
right
ready.
there.
The baby is adorable. I have that photo too because he sent it to me.
Why?
But they were in New York, and now they made their way back.
Do that again. I couldn't hear that.
So he's on my list. Our friend Wayne Bracken from Kids Medical is on our list for an upgrade. I'm working with tech partners, Willie Fernandez as well.
Who's Willie Fernandez?
He is one of the partners there. It's a firm that does placement, especially in the tech space, fintech space. That's going to be a big get when I announce that company coming from Nebraska because they're going to hire over 100 people.
Cornhuskers.
Well, they are the Nebraska Hornhuskers. They are not in Lincoln currently. They are in another city. That's about all I can tell you. Okay. But the operation they're moving here is the operation that is elsewhere in Florida that handles this part of this country and Latin America. So we are getting a company from elsewhere in Florida, but they're going to be growing with us here. So that's about all I can tell you. If you can piece it together with that, well, then you are better than I am. But the county commission acted on this last week with some incentives, and thanks to Mike Finney, James Konstam, Julian Perez, our friends at the Beacon Council, City of Coral Gables. Thanks for your diligent work. When companies are looking, they can't always be told, like, you need to go here, you need to go there. So our goal is always to put our best foot forward in terms of selling Coral Gables on 3 fronts: quality of life, access to amazing workforce, and the third one is all of the value add, chamber relationships, opportunities to be connected. Chamber's a connector, Chamber's a convener, Chamber's a collaborator. You'll see that on Thursday night. That is our goal, is to always be out in front, punching above our weight.
Well, we got some questions. George has a question on any update on that restaurant?
So I think that's the question about the restaurant in the old Chibo space related to Chef Adrian. I do not have any updates. Matter of fact, I had a meeting this morning with the city and the bid, and that was the topic du jour about what was going on with her, because she's killing it, obviously, at Redfish and in her location down in Kendall.
Killing it, the one in Kendall here.
Yeah, you can't even get a reservation. But we've got some new faces on the block. South Beach Food and Wine Festival's coming in April, and we're going to play a role in that.
You mean, what's his name?
Lee Schrager.
Lee Schrager. He does a couple events in Gables, correct?
Usually. I don't know if we've seen the full calendar as of yet because they moved it from February to April. But I think what you're going to find, I hope, is a really brilliant program with a lot of Coral Gables investment and involvement, just because we have so many amazing chef-driven concepts. 2 Fridays ago, Luca Osteria opened. That's Giorgio Rapicavoli. We have all these wonderful other related chef, Gustav, Mame. You heard George talk about that. So we love those of you that love good food. We love good food, but more than that, we love good stories. And right now, businesses that have been opening during COVID are the best story because there are opportunities out there. And if you're thinking about a potential move to Coral Gables, hit us up at the chamber. I'll introduce you to Francesca Valdez. But most importantly, know that your chamber is here to be a resource to you.
Well, this month, Women's History Month.
That's right.
And today, people, National
Meatball Day. Thank you, Joe. I like being with you, Grant, because you are a meatball.
I couldn't hear what he said.
Amen.
All right.
So I'm going to carry us out, and I'm going to carry us to the end and over the finish line. So thanks again for tuning in, everybody. Know that your Coral Gables Chamber has been an essential business since before the pandemic began. And what we did was pivot our business, pivot all of our resources, activities, and focus to your most basic needs. So proud of our team, so proud of our board, so proud of each and every one of you, our members. It's not an easy time. We're struggling right along there with you, folks. We're a small business with just a few employees. But at the end of the day, our goal is this: to help you return to the greatness that your company has and will feel again, connect you with great partners, be a convener, be a collaborator, and be an incredible partner to each and every one of you. I'm going to go and enjoy these meatballs now. Happy National Meatball Day. And to all the ladies out there, I want to say a special thank you. We were one of the early pioneers that had a woman chair dating back to the 1970s. We've had more than 10 women serve as chair over the last few decades, including our next chair, Anna Chowie from Grove Bank and Trust. We celebrate the women who are leading, doing the heavy lifting, doing the great work, and paving the way for folks like Grant and I to be successful. So thanks for doing that. Have a great week, everybody. On behalf of our chamber and Miami's community newspapers, happy Meatball Day.